Welcome back. The global comic book market is projected to be worth close to $13 billion by 2028, according to Fortune Business Insights, with content and characters in print, digital, and on screens everywhere. One of the fastest growing segments of that market can be seen at the second annual Comics in Color Festival in Roxbury later this month. Syndicated comic creator Rob Armstrong will be there. His Jumpstart comic strip appears in more than 300 newspapers nationwide, including the Philadelphia Inquirer, the LA Times, and the Boston Globe. Hi, Rob.
Good morning. Hi, Karen. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So glad you could be here. Talk to us a little bit about the Jumpstart comic strip. It's just so iconic. Your main characters are on the front lines. Tell us about Joe and Marcy and how you navigate some of the tough issues facing people today.
You know what's funny, Karen, is that Jumpstart was launched in 1989, about 33 years ago, something like that. I've been doing it my entire adult life, basically. I got syndicated when I was 26 years old, and I've always felt that it was relevant. But like now, for some reason, I feel this urgency to the work that I do. It's very timely. The main character is a police officer. He happens to be a black police officer in the Black Lives Matter era, in a defund the police era. Marcy is his wife. She's a nurse in a big hospital in this COVID era. Mm-hmm. And like, it's just, the world has caught up to Jumpstart in a way. And I just feel that I'm in the right place at the right time. And I'm so grateful that it's in all these newspapers when all this happened.
Right. That's right.
I've been in Boston my entire career, one of the first papers to carry my strips.
We know that.
Boston Globe.
We know that. Talk about the significance of the Comics in Color Festival.
I think, there are very few black cartoonists in this country, believe it or not. I'm one of fewer than a dozen. And when I was launched in 1989, there were 3 of us in the whole country. I was the third. Things have changed so dramatically for the better. Now there's things like this this festival.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing.
And it's absolutely amazing.
You're trying to support a new generation of comic cartoonists. Tell us quickly about the Armstrong Project at Howard University.
Yeah, in Hampton University. I'm really, really fortunate that the Schultz family. I sit on the board of the Schultz Museum. I've collaborated with the Schultz family on a new screenplay for the Franklin character. Franklin Armstrong from the Peanuts cast is literally named after me. It was done in 1994 by Charles Schultz, who was a good friend of mine. And he was a good supporter of mine and an admirer of my work. And he named this character after me. Now, there's going to be this Peanut special based on him. There's going to be a lot of attention on this character. And one of the things we decided to do was to capitalize on the attention by giving kids a chance to succeed in the arts.
That's
and
great.
We chose 2 very, very good universities to launch the Armstrong Project. And I'm going to be giving students an internship with me and exposing them to this whole exciting world.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, thanks for passing it on. And Rob Armstrong, thanks for dropping in with us today to talk about the 2nd annual Comics in Color Festival that will be held in Roxbury on April 23rd. Okay, now we're going to shift gears. Pirates, Buccaneers, that's the focus of factual and fictional stories of crime on the high seas. But did you know that pirates also established the first known democracy, a brotherhood based on skill and not merit, not race or ethnicity? That is the story being told at the historical experience called Real Pirates Salem, and Bill Golden is the executive director. Hi, Bill. How are you?
Good morning, Karen. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning.
Thanks for being here. So tell me about this pirate ship that was wrecked off the coast of Wellfleet in April of 1717, and tell us about the history of it.
Sure. We are bringing an exhibit to Salem that opened just yesterday that is fun, exciting, and educational. And it's focused on a story that was lost for almost 300 years. There was a ship that wrecked off of Cape Cod called the Witta, and it was wrecked in 1717. And it was just a story. It was a legend. But it was a legend that a explorer by the name of Barry Clifford, one of the world's greatest underwater explorers, heard from his uncle when he was just a child. And he thought about it and focused on it, researched it, and then committed to actually trying to find this legendary ship. And he went out one day diving. He dove for 2 years with the son of the president, John Kennedy, John Kennedy, just he and John. And they found nothing. They were ridiculed for chasing this legend, kind of a Quixote kind of a tale. But eventually, Barry kept on it, and he found it. And what did he find? And what are we bringing to Salem?
Now the ship probably, as I understand, had a huge treasure of gold and jewels. But the story is more than the treasure, isn't it?
It really is. This was not just a search, as Barry would say, not just a search for gold and silver. It was a search for the truth about real pirates. And when Barry realized that the ship he had found had been a former slave ship before it was taken by pirates, and that what the pirates did is really take the treasure that had been accumulated by these slave traders that had been used to buy and sell men, women, and children, he immediately said, I will never sell one of these coins. I'm going to keep this treasure together, and I'm going to use the truth I find in the tale it tells to educate people about what was really an age of oppression and exploitation.
Tell us about the diverse society that existed within the pirate community.
This is really fascinating. Before the golden age of piracy and before the ship that Black Sam Bellamy captained, there had never been a society that was made up of Africans, Europeans, and Native Americans that lived together with laws, with rules, and in a society where there was total democracy and everyone had an equal vote, everybody had an equal share, anyone could be captain, anyone could be quartermaster. This was the most democratic, egalitarian society in the history of the world. There was never one before, and there hasn't been one since. And it's really interesting when you look at real pirates and the treasure, you can actually come and not just see the treasure that was found, but you can actually touch it. And you can see the real cannons and the other real artifacts there.
It sounds like it's just a fascinating opportunity to learn the real story and to learn about life of pirates that maybe we didn't know before. Bill Golden, thanks for joining us to give us just a little bit of taste of what you're going to find. Real Pirates is open now on the historic waterfront of downtown Salem. Ain't Too Proud is coming to Boston. We're going to catch up with two of the performers taking the stage, the story of the life and times of one of Motown's most popular groups. That's next. 'Cause I can't